I'm about to do one of the most intense healing experiences that I've ever done. My name is Dr. Olivia Grace. I'm a functional and frequency medicine practitioner, and I specialize in deep emotional healing work. So I'm no stranger to the wacky world of healing arts, but this experience is probably going to be one of the most profound things that I do for healing, and it is ayahuasca. So I'm embarking on my first ever ayahuasca journey here in the beautiful Costa Rica, and I'm headed to a retreat center called Rhythmia. Most people have heard of ayahuasca before. It kind of has this weird taboo energy. People don't really know what it is. They're kind of curious, or they've heard maybe some bad stories. And so I'm really here to just demystify it because I think it can be a very profound way to heal if done right. So that is the journey that I'm going to take you guys on, from pre-ayahuasca all the way through the journey, and then post-ayahuasca, my whole experience from the perspective of a holistic doctor. I know a lot of people think about ayahuasca, they're like, oh, she's going into a jungle somewhere with a shaman in the middle of Peru, and she's going to sleep in a hut and, be 3 hours away from a hospital. And that is just not what this experience is. I intentionally waited to do ayahuasca because I wanted to find the right center. And Rhythmia is actually a medically licensed ayahuasca center. And so I'm taking a very, very safe approach to do this very powerful medicine. So let's talk about what is ayahuasca. Ayahuasca comes from the Amazon, and it's made of two different plants that I cannot pronounce their names, so I'm not going to try, but it's made out of a vine and a leaf, and they reduce this down and they turn it into a tea, an ayahuasca brew, and then you drink the tea. And it originates from indigenous cultures in the Amazon basin like Peru. These cultures have been using this medicine for thousands of years in ceremonies and to have really profound spiritual and healing experiences. These cultures actually view it as a sacred plant medicine because they know that it has magical properties. It can heal you physically, emotionally, and it can really open you up spiritually, and you can have profound spiritual awakening experiences. Okay, so biochemically, here's what's happening. The leaf contains a component called DMT, which is a psychedelic compound, and then the vine contains an MAO inhibitor, which prevents your body from breaking down the DMT, so you can have a lot of it in your body at once. I also learned that ayahuasca is antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal, and anti-inflammatory, which I personally think is really cool because you're getting like a physical medicinal healing effect from the actual liquid of the tea, of the herbs, but then you're also having this profound emotional and spiritual healing experience as well. On more of a nervous system and brain level, ayahuasca temporarily quiets something called the default mode network, which is responsible for your ego, your identity, basically your self-story, whoever you think that you are. It also brings subconscious material like memories, emotions, stored trauma into your conscious awareness. And this is where it can get a little bit dicey. Honestly, this is why most people avoid doing ayahuasca, because they're kind of afraid of what they're going to find or what ayahuasca is going to show them. A lot of my work deals with bringing the subconscious conscious, so stored emotional traumas and stressors that have happened to us. Through the techniques that I do, we actually bring it to a conscious level and process it out of the body. Let me back up for those of you who are actually new here. So emotions and trauma are stored in the body, and if you haven't processed these things, then they can manifest as physical symptoms. Symptoms like anything from anxiety to depression, autoimmune diseases. Any physical symptom you can think of can have an emotional root cause. And it can also be completely running your life and who you think you are. I tell my clients that everyone has a blueprint. So you were born and you have to learn how to do everything in this world, and every category of your life, money, love, job, finance, career, you have some sort of blueprint or some sort of subconscious programming that is running the show. And what ayahuasca does is it helps you to become aware of this program that might not actually be serving you anymore, or might not really be aligned with your authentic self. So once you have this awareness, you can heal it and you can choose something else. You can choose the authentic version of you. I'll give you some examples. So if you were abandoned as a child, maybe you have trouble connecting with people, maybe you don't trust people, and that's affecting you in your adult life. Or this is what I see all the time with patients, is maybe you grew up in a chaotic home and you just were really stressed as a child, and now in your adult life you crave peace so badly, but you keep creating toxic environments because that's what you're familiar with. And so ayahuasca will help you to become aware of these things, heal the trauma, so you can really be free to live your life how you want to live it. The research actually shows that when you ingest ayahuasca with intention and mindfulness, it can have epigenetic changes, meaning it actually turns on and off genes, and it can completely change the way that you see yourself and you see the world around you. So why am I doing ayahuasca? Honestly, I'm very committed to the personal development journey. I'm very interested in experiencing a lot of different healing techniques. But more importantly, I really want to do ayahuasca because I'm looking to see the parts of myself that are authentically me that maybe I've hidden or maybe I've suppressed because of conditioning, experiences. I feel like, as I always tell my patients, the journey of life is like you're born, and when you're a little kid, you kind of know exactly who you are, right? You have this authenticity to you. You just act and speak and do things, and you're you. And then as you get older, that you start to get implemented with more conditioning, right? You start to become more not you. You start to develop coping mechanisms and things to keep you safe, and you kind of go through life and you become this adult version of you that is sometimes, and most of the time for a lot of people, is not authentically you. And so part of my intention with ayahuasca is I want to go back and I want to find the parts of me that maybe I've suppressed from childhood that is really authentically me, and be more aware of that and just really live the most authentic, aligned version of myself that I can. And also, I'm really looking for a little bit of guidance from God and from Mother Ayahuasca to show me the path for this vision that I've had with Original Medicine, which is this travel series. So the beginning of my ayahuasca journey and being in Costa Rica is actually all a part of this vision, this download that I had almost 5 years ago. 2020, I had a download from God that showed me that I should be traveling the world, experiencing ancient healing techniques and medicines and sharing them. And I'm finally doing it, and this is the beginning of that. And so I'm looking for some guidance in some direction of, kind of the purpose and the vision for this path that I feel like I've been called to. Also, as a practitioner, I really like to try a lot of things, the things that my clients are doing. I want to be really educated, and that's also why I'm creating this docu-series, is because I want to demystify it, and I want it to be something that you guys really understand on a medical level and a spiritual level, and you can decide if it's the right thing for you in your healing journey. Let me preface by saying that I do not think everyone should do ayahuasca. Maybe I'll feel differently after I try it. I don't know. But I think you have to be ready to open up your subconscious and be capable of facing whatever it shows you. I've done a lot of healing work already, so I don't think that I'm afraid of anything that ayahuasca is going to show me that might be stressful or traumatic. But if you jump right into an intense experience like this and you haven't really looked at any trauma or done any healing at all, this might be too big of a jump for you right away. Ayahuasca is a profound healing medicine. You just have to know yourself and your own mental capacity. I've known about ayahuasca for years, and there's a reason why I haven't done it until now. Number one is I wanted to feel really called to the medicine, and I wanted to be in the right headspace in my life. What I mean by when I say called to the medicine is I didn't just want to do it because I didn't want to just do it to do it. I wanted to feel this pull, this energetic pull of hey, you should do this, everything is lining up at the right time for you to have this experience. And that's exactly what happened with this Costa Rica retreat. Number two is I wanted it to be legit. I wanted to do it with professional shamans. I didn't want to do it in someone's living room in LA. Sorry to my LA friends who have done that. But that's just what I'm looking for. And number three is that I wanted it to be medically backed, okay? I am a doctor at the end of the day, and I understand what powerful medicinal substances can do to the mind and the body. And I wanted to be in a facility that really takes the utmost care of their clients, make sure it's super safe, and that's why I chose Rhythmia. Rhythmia is the world's first and only medically licensed ayahuasca center. They have medical staff on site, and they go through a very rigorous screening process to make sure that it's actually safe for you to take ayahuasca. They also do a fantastic job of prepping you mentally. I cannot stress how important this is, and the people that I've spoken to who have had negative ayahuasca experiences always say they felt like they weren't prepped enough mentally. So Rhythmia gives you a 4-week program through their app that you can do that prepares you mentally, physically, and spiritually. They give you things to do for your diet. They give you practices to journal about and to meditate, and they really prep you physically and spiritually for this experience. And then while you're there, what they do is they have classes during the week. So there's 3 workshops, I believe, that they offer during the week that really help you to integrate while you're going through the ayahuasca. They also give you intentions to focus on, because it's really important to have an intention when you're going into the medicine. Because if you don't, the medicine can kind of just take you wherever, and it can kind of be maybe a weirder experience. And then last, they have this 13-week integration program after the fact. And that is so important to me. That is arguably the most important part of the whole thing, is the integration process. You don't just go through this big experience and then just go back to your life. You really take the time to learn and integrate it. I'm going to share with you the 3 intentions that Rhythmia gives you to focus on during the ayahuasca. And I love this because the intentions are very all-encompassing, right? I have some intentions myself, other people come with intentions, but these are like the main intentions that if you focus on these, all the other ones are going to kind of be met. So number 1 is show me who I have become. So from 2 to 7 years old, you have something called a dissociative split, which means that basically you learned that it wasn't safe to be you. And so you started developing these coping mechanisms, or this part of you that isn't authentic, to keep you safe or make sure you fit in. But it's kind of this dissociative split. And so through the ayahuasca, you can really come home to yourself and figure out and have it show you, where are you being not the authentic you. The second one is called merge me back with my soul at all costs, which sounds a little bit scary, but it's not. This means that you want to come back home to your true authentic self, who you are at your core, without any influence of anybody else. The third one is heal my heart. This intention has to deal with healing any emotional trauma pattern, any pain, any suffering that you've been through your entire life, which can be very intense, but is also why it's profoundly healing. I'm going to do my best to share this whole experience with you guys so I can really demystify ayahuasca so you can decide if this is right for you in your healing journey. Okay, see you at Rhythmia.